All right, so the first sworn, and you are officially the jury that is impaneled to try this case. So let me give you a little bit of some preliminary instructions to just kind of help you. So that way, because obviously there's, it's a jury room, it's a courtroom, there's stuff happening, and I want to make certain that you understand what it is. So, um, I want to circle back to what you're here to do. So you are here because the state of Georgia has filed charges against Dolores Douglas. The case is 23 TK 2844. And this document that I'm holding up reads that I am the defendant in this matter, and I knowingly, freely, and voluntarily waive formal arraignment, as well as the right to have an attorney, and I wish to represent myself. I plead not guilty to the charges below, and I demand a jury trial, and it's signed by the defendant here, and it's signed by the prosecutor here, April 22nd, 2024. Down here at the bottom, it's got a count one, not guilty, or guilty at the bottom, and that's where you all will make the decision on this case. Now, when you flip over to the back to read the charge again, just to make certain you all understand exactly what you're here to do, the question you will answer is whether or not, according to the charge from the solicitor's office, on behalf of the people of the state of Georgia, county of Spalding, the undersigned as prosecuting attorney for the county and state aforesaid, does hereby charge and accuse Dolores Douglas with the offense of failure to yield at an intersection, and that the accused in the county and state aforesaid, on or about the 11th day of May, 2022, did unlawfully, while operating a motor vehicle upon a public roadway, did fail to yield when entering or approaching an intersection, to wit, Hammond Drive and West Poplar Street, to another vehicle at the intersection as required by law. Contrary to the laws of the state, good order, peace, and dignity thereof, Patrick M. Shepard, Solicitor General, Spalding County State Court. I will remind you again that the filing of the charges by the solicitor is in no way whatsoever any indication of guilt of the defendant. It is simply the mechanism by which cases are brought into this court for you all to make the decision on. Whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty of these charges is a matter solely up to you all as the jury on this case. Now, I want you all to know that each person's responsibilities. So I want you to know that as far as your responsibilities, well, let's start with evidence. What is evidence? So evidence is anything that is given under oath, such as witness testimony. That would be evidence. Any exhibits that are placed into the record through that witness, those are also evidence. So anything under oath or any exhibits that come in through them. So in other words, what the lawyers say in this case is not evidence. What the defendant says when she is speaking to you directly in opening statement or closing arguments would not be evidence. Nor is anything that I say evidence at any time ever. My role in this case is to simply make certain that this case is tried fairly and impartially and according to the laws of the state of Georgia and the constitutions of the United States and of the state of Georgia. Now, I want you to know that in all criminal cases, the defendant in the trial is presumed innocent. That presumption remains unless and until the state provides evidence, i.e. witness testimony and exhibits, if any, that is sufficient to satisfy your minds of the defendant's guilt and a standard of what's called beyond a reasonable doubt. That is called the burden of proof. So in other words, if I were to hand you all this verdict form right now, as of this moment, and I were to send you out and I'd say you have to issue a verdict, you would be required by law at this exact moment to circle not guilty because the defendant is presumed innocent. All right, you're nodding at me so you understand that. Now, the burden of proof rests on the state. Now, what that means is that the state must prove each and every essential element of the charge of the accusation beyond a reasonable doubt. But the state is not required to prove beyond all doubt. It is the reasonable doubt means just what it says. It is the doubt of a fair-minded, impartial juror honestly seeking the truth. It is not arbitrary or capricious. It is a doubt arising from the evidence or a lack of evidence or conflicts in the evidence, and it's a reasonable doubt. Now, after considering all the facts and the circumstances in a given case, if your minds are wavering or unsettled or unsatisfied, that is the doubt of that is a reasonable doubt, and that is the doubt of the law, and you should acquit the defendant. If, however, that doubt does not exist, then there is no reasonable doubt, and you would be responsible to convict the defendant. Now, in our system, it is my duty as the trial judge to ascertain the law of this case and to give you that law to use in making your decision. And so I will charge you of the law when we get to that stage, and you are bound by that law. So in evidence, as I said, as witnesses testifying, you are the judges of the facts. You are the judges of the evidence. Well, here's a couple of guidelines to help you do that. So how you do that is you'll be judging the credibility of the witnesses. And in doing that, you are the sole decider of the credibility of the witnesses. Credibility also means believability. Believability is in passing on this, what weight you give a witness's testimony under all the facts and circumstances of the case. You may consider the witness's manner of testifying, their intelligence, their means and opportunity for knowing about the facts which they've testified, the probability or improbability of their testimony, their interest or lack of interest in the case, and their personal credibility as you determine it to be. As to all the witnesses, you should apply the same standards of credibility and measurement. It is the foundation of our criminal justice system that every single person accused of a crime is entitled to a trial by jury, and that jury is to be impartial between the state and the defense. All right, so as you are hearing the case, you all will be making all final decisions regarding credibility. At no point ever will I be giving you any sort of hints, insinuation, nods, or anything else. Again, my role in this is simply to make certain that this trial is being tried fairly and impartially. You may hear objections from time to time, and if you do hear those, that's just a very technical question of the rules of evidence in the courtroom. It does not in any way impact your decision whether I sustain the objection or reject the objection. That is simply a technical rules of evidence question, and you're not to infer guilt or innocence from my rulings on that. Now, what's going to happen next is we're going to begin with the case. So the procedure that the trial is going to follow, and it's going to go relatively quickly. As I told you all, this is going to be a rather fast trial, but it's also a very important trial. It's very important to Miss Tony. It's very important to Miss Douglas. It's very important to everybody who is here. And so what's going to happen next is each side has the opportunity to stand up in front of you and make an opening statement. And I'll remind you that an opening statement is not evidence. And if Miss Douglas chooses to make one, which she's under no obligation to do so, and then if she chooses to make one, that's her addressing you, not in an evidence capacity, but in the same way that an attorney would address you in opening statements. Once the opening statements are concluded, and that's simply a roadmap of what they think the evidence will be, evidence being the witness testimony and any exhibits that are placed in. And then after that, the state will call their first witness. They will call the witness will come sit up here, at which point they'll be placed under oath and they will testify. That is evidence. Once they're finished, Ms. Douglas will have the right to cross-examine or ask questions that she thinks may be helpful to bring out answers that may be helpful to her defense. We'll go back and forth until each witness is finished, and we'll go through each witness until we're finished. Once the state has called all of their witnesses and they've been questioned by both sides, then the state will do what's called rest. So when Ms. Tony announced the state rests, that means the state will have given you all they're going to give you for this case for you to make their decision. At which point, Ms. Douglas will have an opportunity, but certainly not an obligation, to present any evidence in your defense. I want to remind you that at all times, the defendant has an absolute right to remain silent. And if Ms. Douglas chooses not to present any evidence, you shall not hold that against her, and that is her decision to make. All right, everybody's nodding at me, so you understand that. Okay, and then after that, at the end of the case, at the end of the case, they will come back in front of you and be able to make what are called closing arguments. Closing arguments are where each side sums up the case, what the evidence was, and why you should use certain pieces of evidence in the case to find in their favor. That's closing arguments. So remember, it's an opening statement, roadmap, closing argument, as in arguing about what it is. Once that happens, actually I told them out of order. I will then give you the jury charges. That's the most exciting part of the trial. That's why I read the law to you. It's as good as it gets. So, but I do have to read it to you. Yes, it is boring. Yes, it is important. And yes, I'm going to give it to you in writing. So I'm trust that you're going to listen, and then you're going to have it with you when you make your decision. But then you'll get closing arguments from each of them where they'll unpack what I've said, attach it to pieces of the case, and help you understand how everything fits together. And that's when you'll have your case. There's a pretty decent chance we'll finish the case today. We may run a little bit late. Does anybody have anywhere that's very pressing to be, like right at 5 o'clock? Okay, no's across the board. So if it's okay with you all, we may run a bit late. If it looks like it's running too long, I'll make the judgment call and roll us over till tomorrow morning. All right. And again, if anybody needs to use the restroom, do y'all have your notepads and all that? Okay, so if anybody wants to take notes, feel free. Do not let your note taking distract you. I'm required to tell you that. I'm also required, oddly, to remind you that your notes are not evidence. I know you know that, but I'm required to put that on the record, that your notes are simply your memories of the evidence that was taken. Don't share your notes with anybody and listen until you begin your deliberations, because again, you're not supposed to be discussing the case at all until your deliberations begin. All right, and again, if anybody needs to use the restroom or anything between now and when I take a normal break, raise your hand and let me know. Ms. Tony, the burden is on you. You may go. You may have an opening statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jackie Toney, and I prosecute misdemeanors, and that includes traffic cases like the one that we're going to be hearing about today. This case is about a failure to yield, and that failure to yield caused a car accident. The facts are pretty simple. The evidence today is going to show that Miss Dolores Douglas, the defendant in this case, stopped at a stop sign on Hammond Drive and went to take a right turn onto West Poplar Street. And when she made that right turn, she pulled out in front of another vehicle, which then struck her car. Miss Douglas has been charged with failure to yield for that accident, and that's what you all are here to decide today, whether she failed to yield beyond a reasonable doubt. The state's going to present two witnesses to you today. One is the other driver, James Matlock. The other one is Officer Larrabee, who will tell you about the circumstances of the accident. At the end of the trial, after you've received all of the evidence, I'll ask you to consider that evidence and the law as presented by Judge Thacker, and I'm going to ask you to find Ms. Douglas guilty of failure to yield. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Douglas, as we talked about, if you wanted to at this point lay out what you think the evidence will show, you certainly can. And as we talked about, remember, you don't have to give an opening statement. It's just if you want to.
Yeah, because I want to talk about how it started and everything. Because I was coming on Taylor, and I stopped right there at the stop sign to make a right on Taylor, and then make a left on Ammon. I stopped right there to make the left, but there was incoming traffic, so I couldn't make the left. I don't know where the other driver coming from. All I hear is pump, 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 and just boom in the car back. I called it 911. They came, I think they called too. He came out of the car and asked me if I'm okay. I said yes. And the officer said we must drive to the Kroger to get statement because we're on the street. I did not turn in front of him. I did not turn in front of him. I make a right turn. I stopped right there, Ale, because that's my second time going to that spot because I was running late, so I passed my Ammon. I didn't know because it's my first time going that side. So I passed Ammon Road. So I go right around back and come back. So I know I got to stop there. I got to stop right at that sign. I got to yield. So when I turn, make a right, there's nothing coming. The only traffic was coming is from the other side. There's nothing coming from behind me nor nothing. So it surprised when I heard that bang in my car back. I don't know where it come from. So we went there to where the officer take us, and they called the ambulance. The ambulance came, so I went in the ambulance because I was feeling pain in my back. So when I went in the ambulance, the officer came in and he said, give him, he take my ID and everything, and he went out there and he come back and he said, what did you say again happen? And I said, I stopped at the stop sign, and when I make a right to make a left and Amman, that's where I hear the bang in my back because the person was blowing too. So I said, I stopped there to make a left turn. So, it shocked me. So in the ambulance, he came and he said, give me back your ID. What you say happened again? And I told him. So he go outside with the ID. So I was feeling pain, but I didn't want to go to the doctor in the ambulance. So I went out there and I said, what's wrong, officer? You said you give me a card and said I must call in 3 days to get the report. So why you come back for my ID? And he said, he didn't say anything, was writing. And I asked him again and he said, you probably lick him first. And I said, what's that? I probably lick him first, hit him first. Or somebody could hit me in my back and then I could hit the person first. So he was there until the next officer come and I was talking to the driver for the car and I said, sir, I even go on my knees and I said, sir, please tell the truth. I said, please tell the truth, sir. And the other officer, a tall captain guy, he said, get up. He said, you don't have to answer, you don't have to answer. And I said, sir, please tell the truth. I did not turn in front of you. And the gentleman said to me, he said, I'm telling the truth. So I was just still asking him to tell the truth. And it was a back and forth stuff. So I said, I know that there's a lot of good officers. Because my brother that follow me is a police officer, and he's 40 years. And I said, I know that, and my family, that family I have is officer, is police. So I said, I know that there are a lot of good officers out there, but you're the bad ones. Okay? The way they were treating me and talking to me, especially the tall one. But the officer that took the statement, he said, you probably hit him first. I don't know why he said that, because somebody hit me in my back. So it's there that he tried to handcuff me. So I said, why are you handcuffing me? And he said, he didn't say anything. He still ring up my hand swelled up and everything. He squeezed up my hand and my arm. And he handcuffed me and he put me at the back of the car to sit. So my feet was hanging over, my back was hurting. So I tried to get up because I said my back hurting. And the officer, he pushed me right here. You don't push me here, and that's the thing that's hurt me for months now, for years, going 2 years. Right here, he pushed me right here. And I said, officer, you push me, you touch me, and I didn't say private part. At the time, I said my vagina. Because I know, So he said, oh, I didn't do that. So I was crying because I feel like so cheap, so ashamed and everything. I was crying. I said, what did I do? Somebody hit me in my back. I just got that car. My son is in the Navy. I had a car before. I had an accident. I got some money. I didn't get enough. So my son borrowed some money. I would buy the car cash that I had. This 2017 Toyota Camry. It's a brand new car. Nothing wrong with my car. So, I'm going to just push out in front of somebody to hurt myself and mash up my car when it already paid for cash. Because I can't afford the next car payment. And I was crying, just crying. And I don't know what happened, but it's just some different language, because I'm a Christian, I go to church, so I don't know if anybody know, but sometimes when I get in the spirit, I would talk in tongues. And that's what happened. So I was crying, and The officer called his boss, and he came, and I tell him what happened. Him say, "Oh, my officer does not lie. I'm working with him now for years, and he does not lie." So I was telling that the officer pushed me right here, and I'm telling her, push me down right here to sit. And he just smiled, and I think they just laughing of probably how I'm talking or stuff, because it come upon me again. It's not my wish, but it just come. So he said they must take the cuff off, but I was like hysterical. Everything was just like, it's a lot. It's really a lot. So I was scared. So when they tried to take the handcuff, I was so scared. Didn't know that, wasn't thinking that when I reached on the station, it was going to be worse. When I reached the station, he took me to the station officer. A lady come to me, she said, her name was so and so, and I go to your church. Which church you go to? And I told her, and she said, I go to your church. Do I know you? Don't know me? So I said, no. So out there, like for a while, he had me in the car out there, like 50 minutes, probably more, and then they drive in the driving lot right there. When they drive the car in there in the parking lot, it's like 12 officers come out, and all of them like stand off. 12 of them. Because I count them. I say 1, 2, 3. I say, oh my God, what's going on? But before I came out of the car, the officer was taking out something from the back part of the car, from the trunk. And the lady, like, she said, Sarge, where are you going with that? What are you going to do with that? I don't know what he was taking out. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know. But when I came out of the car, it's just like 12 of them surround me. 12 of them. And I said, oh my God, what have I done? And I count them, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's what I said, same way. And they bring me in, they take off my shirt, and whatever they do, I was like, I didn't know myself. I was like out of it. I asked them to make a phone call. They said I can't make a phone call until they book me or stuff like that. But they didn't book me yet. They put me in a holding cell, and I was there like a couple hours till they take my picture and all and stuff. It was a lot to see somebody hit me in my back, and that's what I go through. So, but I know what I'm saying. It hurt me until now. I'm trying to get over it. Whenever time I'm supposed to come to court, that's when it take a hold on me. But I didn't deserve what happened to me that day, especially when the officer just shot me right from here and I fell back in the seat. I didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve like so much officer come around like I'm a thief or a murderer or I'm a killer or something. I'm just a 64 woman, this year-old with 4 children. I don't do anything wrong. I try to work and work the hardest I can.
Your Honor, objection. I think we've reached the point of argument.
Yes. So Miss Douglas, it's okay. Deep breath. So you've moved from giving them a roadmap of what you think the evidence is going to be when the evidence finally opens to argument. And I just need you to move back to any additional facts that you think they may hear when the evidence is opened in just a moment. So take a deep breath and move back to the event if you have anything else you want them to know.
Yeah, I just wanted to know that I did not go in front of that gentleman. I aimed to make a right turn off Taylor Street, and I'm supposed to make a left turn on Ammon. I couldn't make the left turn because the traffic was coming over the other side. I don't know what it's to say.
Okay. Anything else?
I just want you all to just see where I'm coming from, and I tried to get a lawyer, but
No, we've already covered that
Okay.
ground. Ladies and gentlemen,
All right.
you are to strike that point. I'm going to read out loud the stipulation which says, I am the defendant in this matter, and I knowingly, freely, and voluntarily waive formal arraignment as well as the right to an attorney, and I wish to represent myself. All right? That's a discussion Ms. Douglas and I had extensively prior to court, and you are to not pay attention to anything else regarding that. She pled not guilty and wants this jury trial, and that's what we're going to do here today. All right, thank you. Anything else?
No, no,
All right.
I was just saying that,
Nope, hold on. If you got anything else that we're gonna do with off record, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay, but we're not doing anything else in front of the jury unless it's part of your opening statement.
okay.
Okay, well then we're done. All right, you may call your first witness.
The state calls James Matlock.
All right. Grab that mic and make sure the green light is on and move it wherever you want it to be. The mic moves all around. The whole thing moves. You can pull the base towards you.
Mr. Matlock, please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You can put your hand down. Can you state and spell your name for the record, please?
James Matlock, James. Last name Matlock, Matlock.
Mr. Matlock, were you in an accident on May 11th, 2022?
Yes.
And where were you driving prior to the accident?
Driving down West Poplar towards Kroger.
Is West Poplar Street a road in Spalding County?
Yes.
When you were driving down West Poplar, what happened next?
That's the way I go home from work, to and from work, was driving down, getting close to where Kroger's at, which is the intersection of Hammond and West Popular. Miss Douglas pulled out, and she didn't make it all the way, making a right-hand turn, and I made connection with the gas tank rear bumper. So
And did she pull out from Hammond Drive?
yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may. And you may approach freely around the side as the trial goes without further asking.
Mr. Matlock, I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit A. What is that?
Hold on, I'm
image?
gonna have Ms. Yarborough pull that laptop down. I think that's court services. We were looking at it earlier. If you can pull that down, Ms. Yarborough. I think your laptop's
I have a large one that I'm
put
gonna
it there. Okay, then you can just shut it. We're good, thank you.
Do you recognize that picture?
Yes.
What is it?
In the picture, that is Hammond, and the road running down is West Popular.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of the intersection as it looked on the day of the accident?
There was regular 3 o'clock traffic. But yes, that is the intersection.
And is the stop sign at the end of Hammond Drive, was that there on the day of the accident?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move to tender State's Exhibit A.
Ms. Douglas, do you have any objection to the jury using this picture in making their decision?
Well,
Yes
I was
Yes or no? No, we're not arguing about how it helps anybody. The question is, do you have any objection to them using this picture in making their decision?
I just wonder the question. This is Taylor Road, right? Because this stop sign is right there, Taylor Road. This Ammons, because I'm on Taylor and I'm gonna make a right and Popular, and then I'm supposed to make a left
Okay,
on
hold
Ammon.
on. That's not part of you're missing pay attention to me closely, Ms. Douglas. This is just a decision as to whether this comes into evidence or is kept out of evidence. We're not gonna argue about what it means or whatnot. So just take a look at that picture, and if you see something about it that you think is inaccurate or wrong, tell me. But if not, I'm gonna let it into evidence. Do you have any objection to me allowing the jury to use that in making their decision? Yes or no?
Yes, that's why I asked if I just want to know because it's my first time around there.
That's not part of my question, though. Do you have an objection?
No.
No. Okay. State's Exhibit 1 is tendered and admitted without objection. And she has a copy. I have a copy. Okay, you're good to go. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Matlock, I just posted an enlarged version of State's Exhibit A on the easel. Could you please step down from the witness stand and show the jury where you were driving on the day of the accident and where Miss Douglas came from?
Yes. So I'm traveling this way. Towards Kroger. She here, and I guess she was trying to cut across, and I hit gas tank.
And so, would you characterize, so do you know what road this is?
This is Hammond.
And this, what is this road?
It's Hammond too, but it's just kind of like it's broken apart. So Hammond, right? I'm going this way, and I guess she was going from this Hammond, like she said, to make a right turn to go immediately left on the other Hammond. She didn't make it.
Is that type of turn known as a dog leg turn?
Yeah.
For Hammond? Okay, can you show the jurors where the two vehicles impacted one another?
Right here. Right. That makes sense.
You can take the witness stand again. Did you see Miss Douglas stop at the stop sign at the end of Hammond Drive before she turned?
I can't say she did or didn't. No.
So how long had you been traveling on West Poplar before the accident?
2 miles, a little less than 2 miles.
So you didn't just turn on there immediately before the accident?
No.
Was your vehicle damaged in the accident?
Yes.
Were you injured?
Yes.
Was anyone issued a citation for the accident?
Yes.
Who?
Miss Douglas.
Did everything that happened during that accident that day occur in Spalding County, Georgia?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Douglas, you may ask this witness questions. Sometimes people get a little excited and talk fast. So I just want to remind you that if you want to ask questions of this witness, just do so nice and slow and loud and use the mic. And I'm going to tell you to take deep breaths and answer the questions nice and slow and loud and use the mic. So same instructions for both of you, because you want the jury to hear your question and you want the jury to hear your answer. Everybody good?
Yes,
All right.
sir.
You may ask your
Judge.
first question.
Sir, when I stop at Taylor Street, right there to make a right, I yell because that's my second time right there. And when I was there the first,
Objection, Your Honor. There's nothing in evidence that that street is called Taylor Street.
All right, let's do it this way. So I just want you to be very careful to ask questions. So just ask questions at this point. So can you do that for me? Just ask a question of them.
yeah. You did not see when I turned right? When I turned right and
Yes, I seen you turn
tapping
right.
it.
Yes, I seen you turn right.
So you didn't see when I stopped to turn on Amman?
You didn't make it out.
Because I
That
got to
makes-
stop because there's other car coming on the other side.
So you're going
I
to
have
interpret that
stop.
as a question. Interpret that as a question of, was there a car coming from the other side?
Yes, there was traffic.
Yes, so if there was traffic, how can I turn? I gotta wait right there before I turn. Cause I was on Taylor. It's Taylor run, as I said, it's my first time on there, and it's Taylor. I was on like this street right here. Stop right at the stop sign to Yale. I couldn't go out because car was coming. So when I go push out, there was no car coming. There was no car, and it's two-way street. One up, one down. So when I make the right, and I'm supposed to make the left and Amman, there was no car coming. I would never push out in front of you.
All right,
And
I'm
that's
going
what I
to
was
stop. I'm going to
asking.
stop it there. You're going to interpret that as a question. You're going to answer it if you're able, and if you're not able to answer it, then simply say you're not able to answer it.
I'm not able to answer.
All right, you may ask your next question.
So where were you coming from? You hit me like that, mashed up my car.
I was coming from work to home.
Yeah, so you said I pull out in front of you. How would I pull out in front of you? I don't get it. Where were you? Because when I turned, there wasn't anything coming. So where you coming from? You was coming from Taylor Street to just turn the corner right there, right too?
Yeah, I was
Right
traveling
in my
down.
car?
I was traveling
Objection,
down.
Your Honor.
Okay.
The witness didn't get a chance to answer.
Yeah, that's correct. Just breathe, answer the question.
I was traveling down West Popular more than 2 miles. I mean, I've been on West Popular for a good minute and was heading home from work.
Sir, you could never come in like unpopular, and I turned in front of you. When I turned, there was no car. So where you was coming from? You was coming from Taylor Street too, like me, and just turn round probably and just hit my car or something because you weren't come from straight. Because I'm telling you, you weren't. I look. It doesn't my second time stop there. So I look, and I hail before I turn right. So where were you coming from?
I was traveling down West Popular towards Kroger.
Because that's all I could hear. Like when I stopped to make this the left, I hear pop, 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 and I hear bam in my car. It's like you were coming from straight. Because if you were coming from straight, I would see you. Where I parked at is only me alone right there at the stop sign. So when I look up, there was a car coming. So where were you coming from? You were coming from Taylor and just come on the corner and you didn't see me?
I was traveling down West Popular Street.
Sir, you were coming from West Popular. It's I would never turn. I stopped there because car was going ahead of me. So I gotta wait till the road clear before I make my right. So I would never turn in front of you. I looked before I make a right turn. And I asked you, please, sir, tell the truth. Please. Please. When you see them handcuffing me and angry me like that, you just hold the head down like that. And I asked you, please tell the truth. And you just hold the head down. And you just said,
Objection, Your
I'm
Honor.
telling the
This is a
truth.
narrative, not a question.
All right,
You could help me. You could help me by saying the
Ms.
truth.
Douglas, Ms. Douglas, Ms. Douglas. Your turn to interpret that as a question and answer it to the best of your abilities.
I don't know how to answer the question.
Okay. Ask your next question, Ms. Douglas. Or rephrase the current question.
I just want to know why you just like stand there and see they angry me like that and you just
Okay.
couldn't.
Ms. Douglas,
And then,
no one
sir,
is allowed to
his
comment.
car.
Ms. Douglas, no one is allowed to comment on whether a witness is truthful or not truthful. The jury will decide that for themselves.
Okay,
So
sir.
no one is allowed to do that because that's their decision to
Yes,
make.
Judge.
So you may ask your next question, Ms. Douglas.
I just wanted,
Take a deep breath and ask a question.
you see what happened to me that day, don't you? You stand there and see everything, don't you?
Yes.
And you just stand there and know that I'd never turn in front of you. You know that I did not turn in front of you. And my car mashed up, it mashed up, that's the back, we got it tied on the back. Nothing wrong with your car, because the officer said, oh, you probably hit him first. Only your tail light, like hit a bird, and he have it on his police car, and he said, you probably hit him first. You see what happened to me that day? And my car couldn't get fixed. No, I have a car payment.
Okay.
Can't afford.
Hold on. So you're to interpret that as a question and answer it to the best of your abilities.
I cannot answer that question.
I would never do that to you. I would never do that. In my heart, I would never do that to you. You know, I got you. I said, oh, lot, and I would never do that to you.
Okay.
I have 3 sons and 1 daughter.
All right, Ms. Douglas.
I would
Ms.
never
Douglas.
do that to you what you do to me that day.
Ms. Douglas. Ms. Douglas.
I'm just,
Ms. Douglas. Look at me. Deep breath. This is a question about what happened on that day. Do you have another question to ask him about what happened on that day during this event? If you have a question to ask him, we're going to keep doing this, but if you're going to make statements, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, okay? Do you have a question you would like to ask this
Yeah, I just
witness?
want to ask him why I didn't just tell the truth.
Okay, we're not doing that. I've already told you we're not going to ask him. If you have a factual question you'd like to ask him that you believe will clarify something, you may ask him that question.
Just everything just black right now.
Okay.
Things just,
So I need you to go ahead and make a decision. Do you want to ask another question? Or are you finished? I don't have a preference, but I need to move forward either with you asking questions or on to the next stage.
I just don't know why you put me through that. That day, you could just say it wrong.
Okay.
You could just say that.
You're to interpret that as a question and answer it to the best of your abilities.
Not gonna answer that question.
Could
Do you
just
have
say
another
that.
question, Ms. Douglas?
It's so much and it just blacked out.
Okay.
It's just
Ms.
so
Douglas,
much.
do you need us to take a quick break? Would that be helpful to you?
Yeah, it's so much. It
Okay.
just blacked out.
Okay.
It's-
She says yes, so
it
we're going to
just
take a quick break.
stand
Ladies and gentlemen of the
here and
jury, Ms. Douglas. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what we're going to do is take a quick break. This break is just long enough. There's 2 bathrooms back there. It's just long enough for everybody to step in the
Just so
restroom.
much, man.
Stretch. Miss Douglas, please. Please, I'm conducting court.
Sorry.
Please.
I'm sorry, sir.
Y'all step back to the restroom. As soon as y'all each had a chance to step in the restroom, stretch your legs for a minute, knock on the door to let us know when you're ready. We're going to do the same thing out here. Just take a quick breath, stretch your legs just a bit, and then we all should be ready this time. So as soon as you're ready, knock on the door, please. While you're back in the back, don't talk about this case in any way whatsoever. You're to get your information from the witnesses, the law from myself, and nowhere else. Thank you very much. Don't even turn your phones on. You okay? All right, let's come back on record. Ms. Douglas, let's talk just a real quick minute before we bring the jury back out. I need you to understand, this is not a murder trial where everybody thinks, whatever, the defendant is a horrific person who deserves to spend the rest of their life in prison. That's not what this is. This is a traffic violation. Traffic violations don't even require the state to prove that you meant to do anything. No one thinks you're a bad person here. There's no proof that you're a bad person. This is just a case about whether or not a motor vehicle accident occurred and whether or not in that occurrence were you responsible for it beyond a reasonable doubt. That's it. So I need you to take a deep breath and understand that what you're upset about is not what this case is about. Does that make sense to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's just that I got a car. My son is in the Navy. He borrowed that money to buy the car cash for me. I didn't have a car payment.
Okay.
And then the car didn't get fixed because,
Okay, I'm not getting into all that. I got a jury back here and I need to get started. You can put your witness back up on the seat, but I'm ready to move this case forward.
yeah.
And things about your family are good to know, but they're not part of this case. The car payment on the car is not part of the question on the table as to whether or not this accident occurred on this date at this time,
Yes, sir.
and whether or not it was your responsibility, you were responsible for the accident beyond a reasonable doubt. If you want to ask any more questions on that topic, I will let you, but I'm going to cut you off starting now if you wander into topics that are outside of that. So do you want to ask this witness, Mr. Matlock, any more questions about the events that occurred on that day? Do you have any more of those questions?
That's a question I'm asking him, where he was coming from.
It's just a yes or no. Do you have more questions on that topic, or are you finished asking the questions? We can do it that way. You can either say, Judge, I'm finished, or Judge, I have a few more questions.
Just got a few more questions for him.
Okay, and you understand that if you ask a question that's outside the scope of what you're allowed to ask, I will stop you in front of the jury and I will tell you that's not a proper question and I'm going to move you along, okay?
Okay, sir, thank you.
All right, if the jury is ready, they may come out. Everybody please remember to stand as the jury comes out. Everybody may have a seat. And I just want you all to take a minute and note that I know that getting in and out of that jury box is a little bit problematic. I've been a juror in that jury box in a previous life. I want you all to look to the right there. Do you see the spot on the inside wall, on the little banister there where it's all kind of messed up? Yeah. That's where the front panel used to be. So the jury panel, the entire jury box was about 1 foot shallower than it is now, and Judge Essery moved it out a bit. So I just want you to know, as tight as uncomfortable as it is now, it was way more uncomfortable before Judge Essery moved it out. So, but I've been there with y'all. That is a very difficult panel or group room to get in and out of. All right, everybody's got your phones back off? Okay. And as you'll remember, where we were at was that Ms. Douglas had asked me to give her just a moment so she could think of whether or not she had any other questions. And so we are in the middle of cross-examining. So Ms. Douglas, if you have any other questions related to the facts of this case, you may ask those questions in the way we discussed.
I'm just asking him, because it's a kind of, I think it's a kind of not straight road. I think it have a little bend. So I just still can't see where he was coming from. He said he was coming from,
You're talking to him.
you say he was
you're
coming
asking-
from Tattoo, the road.
I was coming down West Poplar.
Yeah. I just can't see. I didn't see you. I didn't see you coming down that road. So I'm just wondering if he was on Taylor and just come around the corner on me. Because I look up. Because it's a two-way street. One going up, one going down.
Okay, we've already done this, Ms.
Yeah.
Douglas.
Oh, I
So if
forgot.
you have a question you want to ask, and again, I told you before the jury came out.
I
that
just
if-
wanted to
If we started this way,
just-
hold on. I told you before the jury came out that if you started moving this way, I was gonna gently move you back. So I need you to know that I need you to ask a question of this witness, not a statement, a question about the events in this case.
Just why you just didn't tell the truth.
Okay, we're not doing that. You and I have already been down that. That's the
I
third
never-
time. Don't make me tell you that
Okay, I
again,
don't have
okay?
any more questions, Judge.
Ma'am?
Yeah, I just don't have any more questions because I just can't see.
Okay. No more questions, Ms. Douglas?
Yeah.
Okay. Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Matlock, were you driving on Taylor Street that day?
No,
What street were you driving on?
I was traveling down West Popular.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for this witness, Ms. Douglas?
If it's a no question, but if he was
No.
driving.
You said no
driving-
questions?
Yeah. If
It's not a statement. It's just a it's just a yes or no. Do you have a question to ask this witness or not? Yes or no?
no,
Okay.
Judge.
Then you may sit down. May he be released from his subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any trouble with me letting this witness go?
No, Judge.
Okay. You may stay or go as you please. All right. You may call your next witness.
The state calls Officer Daryl Larrabee. Officer Larrabee, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can have a seat. State and spell your name for the record, please.
Daryl Larrabee, DarrylLarrabee.
And how are you employed, Officer Larrabee?
I am a patrol officer with the City of Griffin Police Department.
How long have you been an officer?
In total, 28 years.
Are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am.
Approximately, have you investigated car accidents during the course of your career as a law enforcement officer?
Yes, ma'am. Numerous.
Approximately how many accidents have you investigated?
I would guess probably between 500 and 600, maybe. Hard to guess.
So you were employed as an officer on May 11th, 2022,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were on duty that day
Yes, ma'am.
in uniform with a badge
Yes, ma'am.
and a marked patrol vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you patrolling in Spalding County, Georgia?
Yes, ma'am. City of Griffin.
On May 11th, 2022, did you investigate an accident on Hammond Drive at West Poplar Street?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How did you learn about that accident?
Advised by 911 dispatch of a accident, two-vehicle accident that had already occurred.
And what did you see when you first arrived at the scene?
Upon my arrival, I saw the two vehicles parked facing westbound on West Poplar Street, just slightly west of the intersection of Hammond.
And when you arrived at the scene, did you speak to the defendant, Dolores Douglas?
Yes, ma'am. I made contact with both drivers to check their welfare as far as they were injured or not, and also the ability of their cars to still be operational.
And what did Miss Douglas tell you?
Initially, she said she was fine, no injuries. Her car was operational, and she made some statements that she was waiting on West Poplar Street to turn left onto Hammond, and I just got basic information as far as the wreck went.
Do you see Miss Douglas in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am, she's seated at the defendant's table.
What did Miss Douglas tell you happened to cause the accident?
She said she was rear-ended by the second vehicle driven by Mr. Matlock.
And what did you speak to the other driver, James Matlock?
I only spoke to him. I spoke to him after we had moved down to the Kroger parking lot to clear the intersection. But yes, I did speak to Mr. Matlock to get his version of events.
What did Mr. Matlock tell you?
He stated that Miss Douglas was traveling or was on Hammond Drive facing southbound, and that she pulled out onto Hammond Drive in his path of travel, and he was unable to stop and make contact with their vehicle, with his.
After hearing the two drivers' versions of what happened that day, did you inspect their vehicles?
Yes, ma'am, I did, for damage.
And what did the condition of the vehicles tell you about the accident?
If you would think of a vehicle as a clock, with the front bumper being 12, the rear bumper being 6, I examined both the vehicles and I located initial contact damage on Ms. Douglas' vehicle at 7 o'clock. And then I located initial contact damage on Mr. Matlock's vehicle at 1 o'clock, which tells me that she did not fully make it onto West Poplar Street prior to the collision occurring. She was still in the process of making a turn.
And was that consistent with what Mr. Matlock told you about the accident?
Yes, ma'am.
So after interviewing both drivers and inspecting the vehicles, what did you determine happened to cause the accident?
I determined that Ms. Douglas had pulled into the travel path of Mr. Matlock, causing the damage, and she had failed to yield right away at an intersection.
Which of the two drivers had the right of way?
Mr. Matlock, he had established it.
And was anyone issued a citation for the accident?
Yes, ma'am, I issued Ms. Douglas a citation for failure to yield right away.
When you issue someone a citation for a traffic citation, is it standard to have that person sign the citation?
Yes, ma'am, it's usually just given as an appearance ticket.
Did Miss Douglas sign her traffic citation?
No, ma'am, she refused.
When Miss Douglas refused to sign her traffic citation, what happened?
I explained to her the consequences of not signing, which is basically signing your own bond. At that point, it's called an appearance ticket, and that if she refused to sign that, I would have no choice but to take her to jail. I explained that to her numerous times in an attempt to just let her sign the ticket.
Did you want to arrest Miss Douglas that day?
No, ma'am, have no intention of arresting her that day.
Did you take steps to try to avoid arresting her that day?
Yes, ma'am, I called in my supervisor to the scene to see if he could speak with her and explain the situation any better to her and make her understand the consequences of not signing.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Douglas, you may ask this witness questions if you wish.
Sir, when you come on the scene, when I call you and you come on the scene, I was right there and Amman to make the left turn. I was right there. You spoke to me and then you go and spoke to the gentleman. And then you said, we can't stay there. After a while, they said, follow you. Well, I didn't catch up to you to see where you turned. So when you turned in the Kroger parking lot, I passed it a little and go a little further. So when I passed it, I saw you, so I turned back in the parking lot. You take the statement, and after you take the statement, you give me a card and say in 3 days, you didn't give me any ticket. You give me a card and say in 3 days I must call for the report.
Okay, that's a question. Answer it to the best of your abilities.
Yes, ma'am. I cleared the intersection we were in by having us move down to Kroger parking lot for safety concerns. The card that you mentioned that I gave you is what we give people with their case number on it. So if they need to contact their insurance company requires a copy of the report, you are able to pick one up from our office. It's generally 3 to 5 business days before they are ready to pick up.
Yeah, but you didn't give me a ticket at that time.
No,
When I
ma'am.
was in the ambulance, you came back in there in the ambulance and you said, give me your ID. And I said, my ID, I already give you my ID. You said, give me it back. And you said, what you said happen again? That's what you said to me. What you said happen again? And I said, sir, I make a right off of Taylor and I'm supposed to make a left on Amman. And that's when I heard I stand there, I will park right there to make a left. His
Okay.
car coming.
I'm stopping right there. Interpret that as a question and answer it to the best of your abilities.
Yes, ma'am, I did get your license a second time to issue you the citation. And yes, I did ask you a clarification question to explain to me again what had happened, just so I could clarify the facts and make sure I had them correctly.
Yeah, but when I was in the ambulance, you said, that's it. You give me the card and you said, that's it. Just in 3 days, get the report. And then after probably 15 seconds, or you came back and said, give me the ID. You said, give me the ID. And I said, I just gave it. I said, I gave it the ID already, just gave it back to me. You said, give it to me.
Okay. Answer that question to the best of your abilities.
Yes, ma'am, I did ask you for your license a second time while you were in the ambulance.
Yeah,
I used
and-
the information off your license to write your citation.
No, but you already told me that's it. You said that's it when I was in the ambulance, 'cause we were about to go, they taking my pressure, and my pressure was very high. And you said that's it. So when you come, even the ambulance people just looking like, you gave me this card already, so why you just come aggressive back in the car and say, give me my ID, and when I come to you, I came out the ambulance and came to you right there at the car, I said, sir, I did not turn in front of him. You see where I was parking, and you said, oh, you probably lick him first. Why you say that? Why you said somebody hit me in my back, so why you say that? You anger me like nobody that day.
All right. Interpret that as a question and answer it to the best of your abilities.
I'm not able to answer the question you're asking, ma'am.
And then the other police officer come and you see, oh, him angry me, and you didn't say nothing. You didn't say nothing.
All right. Answer that question.
I'm not able to speak on why an officer did or did not do anything.
But you just said, I not even turned good off Taylor when the gentleman hit me in my back, and that's not true. When you came there, I parked right there to make a left turn at Ammon. So why are you talking like that?
Ma'am, I don't have an answer for your question, I'm sorry.
Sir, I just want to say that you know that I was not wrong. I don't know why. After a time, you came back and give me a ticket. I don't know, and then after you and the second officer handcuffed me, you all put me right there to sit. My feet was out, my back hurt, so I just get up a little to sit back, and he shoved me right here. And I was telling you all just don't care. Even when you call the Sarge, or you call, and he came and I was talking to him, telling me, saying, y'all just smile, and then he said, why you handcuff her? Why you handcuff her? Why you handcuff her? Don't he say that to you? Why you handcuff me? Don't the Sarge say to you, why you handcuff her? Why you handcuff her? And you just oh, it's not me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. Why you all handcuff me? Why you all treat me this way? And then when I reach by the station, you take a long time outside there before you drive in the garage.
Okay. You're to answer that question to the best of your abilities.
Ma'am, I'm not sure how to answer the question you're trying to ask.
And then when I went in the garage, it's 12 of you all surround me with your all and your gun. And you go in your car back and taking out something. And the Sarge, she said to you, Sarge, where are you going with that? What are you doing with that? We don't need that. We don't need that. Why you were taking out the car back to hurt me with?
Ma'am, I believe you're speaking when I arrived at the sheriff's office in the Sally Port. I go to the rear of my vehicle before I remove you from the vehicle to secure my weapon, my magazines, and my ass baton, because I'm not allowed to take them inside of the sheriff's office.
No, you take out something from and the officer said to you, she said, we're going with that. We don't need that. We don't need that, Sarge. We don't need that. What were you taking out to do to hurt me with? Because it's 12 of you surround me. For what? A little accident. I didn't do anything. I just was talking in tongues. It's just my Christianity stuff. That's what the
Ma'am.
Spirit of God gave to me, utterance. So why you angry me like that?
Ma'am, I believe somebody said something to the sergeant about you don't need that. I'm not a
No,
sergeant.
to you. She called to you and said, put back that. We don't need that. What you was taking out the car back.
No, ma'am, I don't recall that. I'm sorry.
Because when you all like 12 of you surround me. She said, I got this, and she take me out the car. For what? I didn't do anything. You could kill me, like, you
Ma'am, I
all
was
could
the
just
only
kill me,
police
leave my
officer there.
kids. I didn't do nothing wrong.
The rest of
Somebody
the
hit
people
me.
there were sheriff's deputies. I have no control over what they do or don't do in their facility.
Yeah, but what you tell them that 12 of them surround me, 12 of them surround me, what you tell them? And what he was taking
Ma'am,
out the
that's the
car.
sheriff's office. That's their facility. They handle things the way they do. I was the only police officer there. I don't know why they would have had that many officers out there.
So I want to ask you one question. When you call the Sarge, don't him ask you why you handcuffed me?
No, ma'am, I don't recall him asking why I
Oh
handcuffed
my
you.
God. The gentleman said, why you handcuff her? Pull the cuff. And you're trying to pull the cuff on my back. But I was so scared, I tell the truth, I wouldn't let you because I was so scared, right? Though you're trying to take the cuff off me in the car?
Did I try to take the cuff off of you in the car?
Sir, yes, sir. You tried to take the cuff. You say you must take it off, take the cuff off me, and you're trying to take it off. And they say she's not letting me. She's not letting me speak the truth.
I don't recall that, ma'am.
So you're supposed to have a radio on you, a radio, record everything. You're supposed to have a radio on you that record everything, and it was on you. You're supposed to have that radio.
Yes,
Or
ma'am, my
that
body
camera,
cam,
that body camera. You're
my
supposed to
body
have that
cam was
camera.
activated that day for the entire time I had contact with you.
Yeah, so it's supposed to hear when the officer tell you take it off, and you try to take it off, and you said she's not letting me take it off, because I wouldn't let you because I was scared. I was scared of you all, so I wouldn't let you take off the cuff off me. So I didn't know why I didn't let you, because when I reached at the station, it was like worse. I think Spirit of God was there. That's why you all couldn't hurt me, because I don't know what you're going to do, what he was taking out of the car back. What are you taking out of the car back to hurt me? That's the Sarge called to you and said, we don't need that. We're going with that.
Ma'am, I don't know what question you're asking.
Sir, let's speak the truth, please.
All right, ask your next question, please.
It's just that I'm longing to ask him what he was taking out the car back when the Sarge said, we're good with that. We don't need that. We don't need that. What are you was taking out the car back to hurt me? After 12 of you all surround me already with your hand and the gun. And I was crying, so because I didn't do anything. You all could kill me right there. I didn't do anything.
All right, interpret that as a question and answer it to the best of your abilities.
The only thing I figured is when you were talking about in the Sally Port, and like I said, I go to the back of my vehicle to secure my weapons prior to removing you from the vehicle inside their facility.
Sir, that's not true. The Sarge called to you and she said, where are you going with that? We don't need that. Why you were taking out of the car back to hurt me?
Okay,
May I
ask
like
your
you?
next question, Ms. Douglas.
Why you handcuff me? Why you help your officer handcuff me and put me in the car? What have I done? And why you tell me that, oh, I probably hit him first?
Are you asking why I placed you in handcuffs and put you in the back of my patrol vehicle?
Yeah.
Because you were becoming very irate and out of control, ma'am.
No, at the time when you handcuffed me, I was talking to the gentleman about tell the truth, that I was parked there. I stopped there to make a left, and I was telling him to tell the truth. And the next officer said, don't talk to her. Don't talk to her. And I said, sir, why are you giving me a ticket? And he said, sign this. And I said, I'm not signing because I don't know why you're giving me a ticket. Somebody hit me in my back. And you see, when I come, I was parking right there at Amman, right there where I get the lick, I was parking. I was parking right there to turn left on Amman, but other traffic coming. I couldn't turn because other traffic coming. So why you said I not even met the turn yet? Why are you saying that? Tell me. Why are you saying that, sir?
Ma'am, I interpreted about 3 questions out of that statement. I'm not sure which one you want me to answer.
But I'm asking you, the Sarge tell you must take the handcuff off me. He didn't tell you that?
I don't recall him saying that, no ma'am.
But you was taking the handcuff off me in the car. You tell him, say, you can't do it. You tell the Sarge that I won't let you take off the handcuff.
Ma'am, this was a year and a half or more ago. I don't
But I
recall
remember
every.
it, sir. I remember everything that happened to me that day. I remember everything.
Well, I don't recall that being said, ma'am.
Sir, I have no further question. I have no more.
No more questions? All right, you may redirect.
I have no more.
Officer Larrabee, which of the two drivers did you talk to first that day?
I believe I spoke to Miss Douglas first upon arrival.
And after you spoke to Miss Douglas, did you move everybody down to the Kroger parking lot?
Yes, ma'am, for safety.
And initially, after speaking to Miss Douglas, did you have some confusion about what happened in the accident?
Yes,
And did you then talk to the other driver, Mr. Matlock?
I did, and I examined both the vehicles to see where the damage occurred to try to get a better picture of what had happened.
And after talking to Mr. Matlock and in examining the vehicles, did you then talk to Miss Douglas again to clarify to get her story again of what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you handcuff Miss Douglas that day?
It- she was extremely out of control, to the point I didn't know if she was going to become violent. Also, she refused to sign her citation, which at that point there is not much choice in the matter but to take her into custody and transport her to the Spalding County Jail, where she's post bond for the charge.
In the course of your duties as a law enforcement officer, do you wear a body camera?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have your body camera on during your investigation of the accident between Miss Douglas and Mr. Matlock?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you reviewed that body camera footage?
I have partially reviewed it in the past. Yes, ma'am.
And did that body camera footage depict a true and accurate representation of your interactions with Miss Douglas and Mr. Matlock that
Yes.
day?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would move to tender State's Exhibit B, Officer Larrabee's body cam footage.
All right, do you have any objection, Ms. Douglas, to the jury using the video in making their decision?
No, sir.
All right, then I'm going to put the State's Exhibit B as tendered and admitted without objection. Are you going to push it up to you ready?
Do I need to?
No, I just needed to make certain, that's what you wanted me to do at this time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, give me just a second, I'm going to make that. Why is that like? All right. Miss Douglas, do you need a minute? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break. Y'all step in now. Don't talk about the case or turn your phones on. Give me a second. All right, we need to put this on the record. Ready, Donna? All right, I need to put on record that during the playing of the video, which is how many minutes long total?
Approximately 50.
All right, and the jury's out. I'm going to acknowledge that the video is about 50 minutes long, 5-0. It is an emotional video. And we made it, looks like 32 minutes into it, at which point Miss Douglas began. I mean, Miss Douglas was emotional, and I was watching her, but she had tissues and she was okay. But at one point, she started crying loudly, and she jumped up and ran out of the courtroom without permission. I did not stop her, but what I did was immediately excuse the jury. And I've asked them to wait back there until we can regain Miss Douglas. So we're in recess until somebody can gently usher her back in after she's had a minute. And I want to acknowledge that, yes, this is a very emotional case for her, but we are going to move this case forward. And I just want to make that known that we're going to do this one way or the other, with or without her. She has the right to voluntarily absent herself from this trial. And if she chooses to do that and she doesn't come back, this trial will move forward. able to do, then what I want you to do is very quietly walk out of the courtroom, and I'm not stopping the video. We're going to keep it going. And then one of the bailiffs will come back in, or you can come back in whenever you're ready. Okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Do you understand that this video is moving forward no matter what to the close?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Tony?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Margaret, if you will ask the jurors if they are ready. You ready for me to push it back up to the screen?
Yes.
All right. You timed out. All right, you can all have a seat. All right, tell me when you're ready. Ready? Okay.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that I stopped the video at 49:13. The state doesn't have anything else from this video that we would like to offer.
All right. So, Ms. Douglas, if y'all put the lights on, thank you. Y'all are already doing it. Ms. Douglas, the state has played what they want to play of the video. You have the right to insist that the jury watch the last 11 minutes and 17 seconds, or you can say that's okay with you. So you have to decide at this moment whether or not you want the jury to see the last 11 minutes and 17 seconds, or if this is acceptable.
If it's the loss.
Okay, so the defendant has the right to insist that you all watch the rest of the video. That's called the rule of completeness. It's a very important rule, and they have the right to insist on that. So if you will hit play. And Ms. Tony, for the record, if you will just state that you played the entire video from start to finish.
Yes, Your Honor. The state played the entire body cam footage from start to finish.
All right, thank you for that. All right.
Judge, can I say something?
No. You may ask your next question.
Officer Larrabee, on the day of the accident, did you feel like you did everything that you could to avoid arresting Ms. Douglas?
Yes, ma'am.
And after seeing the body cam footage, what area of Mr. Matlock's car was damaged?
It was the front passenger side corner, what we would refer to as the number 1 corner.
And what about Ms. Douglas's car? What area of her car was damaged?
Rear driver's side corner.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Y'all give me just 3 minutes. Will y'all step out just for 3 minutes? Don't talk about the case or anything. Just give me a quick second. I need to talk frankly with them outside your presence for scheduling. All right, jury's out. So in a charge such as this, I would normally go ahead and jump into cross. But it's 5:16. And given the cross of the first witness from Miss Douglas, which was a significant and lengthy cross, Miss Douglas, I assume you're going to have a significant number of questions for this witness, or do you have any questions for this witness?
Just accident, why I didn't do the right thing. I'm just.
Okay, that's not my question. I need you to focus on the words that are coming out of my mouth, please. And I need you to answer the question that I asked you. My question for you, Miss Douglas, is, do you want to ask this witness questions, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that you have a lot of questions for this witness?
Yes.
Or, okay, then we're going to do this in the morning. So, all right, well then, let's do this. Ms. Yarborough, if you will ask the jurors to please keep their juror badges on, place everything else inside their Ziploc bag. If they haven't written their name on it, because we forgot, I don't know, I think we probably gave them a Sharpie to put their names on it. Everything else goes in the bag and goes face down on the table. Once they have all those items, have them come back out with their juror bags and leaving the juror bags with their personal belongings and their juror badges on, and have them sit out here. And I'll give them their net 7. Yes, please gather up anything they've left out here and take it back to them. And when I have them go out, I'll have them go out and around.
Your Honor, do I need to stay up here?
Just sit tight.
Yes, sir.
So, because I'm going to point at you, and I need to be able to point at you.
Okay. Not the memory of.
I want them to see that you're still here and live, so that they'll see that when they come back tomorrow, you'll still be in that same seat.
Yes, sir.
If anybody needs to step to the restroom or anything,